Hello everybody and welcome back to the Train Brothers Railway. Today we are continuing on with our RailPro installation series, and you join us at a kind of a conundrum of time. So right here we have our board, our speaker, this is our weight, and we still need to fit in our battery. But the problem is with this small body, we're having a space issue. So I've been playing around with positioning of everything, and I kind of want to mount the board there on the weight, and if we remove the blocks, we take our speaker, we can probably fit our speaker in there. Oops. Fit our speaker right in there and our battery here. But I was kind of considering, well, one, it being magnet, so that's probably not too good, and two, you're gonna see all these colorful wires, and we still want this elevated, and with this having the louvers, you're gonna be able to see it. So it kind of leaves us with a bit of an issue. And then I started thinking, well, what if I remove this weight? But like I said in the beginning of the series, the weight helps us move all these heavy cars and allows us to gain traction on the metal wheels on the rails. So I got thinking, and now we're kind of into the scientific kind of approach where we're going to weigh the difference. So I've removed the weight. It's actually fairly heavy. We're going to put that on. And we're at 1.5. You guys can't really see it, but it's in pounds. So it's 1.5 pounds. We're going to remove the weight. We're going to add the speaker, the board, and the heaviest of all, the battery. We're at 1 pound. So we're kind of like 5 ounces off, which I think is a tangible difference, and it's not really going to make a difference. So I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and remove the weight. I'm going to mount either the board probably back here. We'll mount the battery here because it's on it's black, and we'll still fit the speaker right in between these posts nicely. Then we'll have everything tucked away in here with the body on it, and it'll all fit and weigh the same. Okay, while I'm waiting for that to heat up, I figured I'd come over here and I'd solder up the lead wires for the speaker. So I figured I'd show you guys how I'm going to solder, or how I do most of my solder connections. So this one here has a loop in it, which is kind of nice because we can just kind of go right through the hole. I can loop it back around on itself just like this and then solder it up. I do use a little bit of plumber's flux to make it grab, and I use a hobby grade rosin core solder 6040, and it seems to grab pretty good. So let me get you guys set up here and you guys will be able to watch the soldering process. Okay, so I have the wire twisted around on itself through that little hole. I've got a little bit of plumber's flux. I'm just going to put a little bit on it just to help it grab the solder. And then I'm going to come over here, which you guys can't see right now. I'm going to grab my solder and the wire. I'm just going to heat the wire up and melt that flux there just a little bit, and then I'm going to melt the solder into it, and it'll grab, and it'll make a nice strong connection. And there you go, just like that, it's soldered. One other thing I forgot to mention is this heat shrink tubing. That's okay because I forgot to put it on, but I'm going to be cutting the other end to go to the board, so it's okay in this case. But if it's one of your last connections, you want to make sure that you put it on ahead of time so you can be able to slip it right over top of it and then heat it up, and then it'll cover the solder connection. Alright, I figured you guys would want to watch that one more time, so I'm going to go ahead and heat up the solder, or heat up the flux, sorry. And if you put too much flux on, you just have to be careful not to make a cold joint, so you want to make sure that all that flux is melted first, and then introduce the solder, and the wire should grab it. And just like that, it's soldered. It doesn't look like it because there's still strands, but that whole wire is solid now. and that's all we want. We don't want to heat it up too much or have a big gob of solder on it. You just want enough to grab it. There you go. Alright, well, as things go, you try fitment many times, and this is what we've come up with. I ended up putting the weight back in, putting it up on blocks so that the heat will still be able to dissipate from the board. I put the speaker in the middle, battery kind of next to where the cab will sit, right there. And this is what I'm going to go with. This is still the same height, or this is lower here, so it'll still fit in nicely. The battery will be here. Reason being I kind of went with this way is if I line this guy up roughly here, the switch is going to be there, so we want it close to the battery. And there should still be enough height to be able to put the switch in as well. But in the meantime as well, I got these guys back in. They're home, I guess you could say. I was able to snake the wires through the back end here and through that little channel, but I forgot to label which one was which. So the easiest way to do this, and I do it for a lot of the testing of certain things or certain lights, or maybe I haven't tried it on the motors but it might work, is I take a 9-volt battery and I just hook up 2 leads and see if the light comes on, and then that'll tell me which one's which in here, and that way I don't have to go ahead and solder everything and figure out that it's the wrong one. Or you'll use like the black from one LED and the red from another so that both of them never work. I've been down that road too many times, but I'll give you a little example of how it'll work.